Welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer, and I decided to bring to you today a short video about how I store and transport my minis. Now, I got inspiration from a couple of people who, when I went to a tournament, brought something that was far more convenient, in my opinion, than Battlefoam. I love Battlefoam, but when you have a large number of minis, it's just hard to pull your minis in and out of foam cases, no matter how good those cases are, to easily put onto the board. Even if they're set up in formation where they're actually, already in their units, on their trays, magnetized, it's still a pain in the butt. And I took a lot of time between setting up and breaking down and setting up again between matches. So I had seen actually something that Anthony from the Sustainable Center had made, as well as Casual. When I went to a tournament in Voorhees, New Jersey at the Outside the Box Games, and I decided to make my own. And so I went to Target and to Home Depot, and I bought a whole bunch of materials, and I made this. Now, I'm not using this any longer. I might even sell it. It's a little bit of work to put together, but it's extremely convenient. And if you're not traveling on a plane or going very long distances, this is the kind of thing you really want. And I'll explain further, but I'll also show you what I've upgraded to. And what I've upgraded to is this. And I'll go and show you this in just a second. But first, let's talk about this, the Transport Mark 1. You can see that I bungee corded it just to kind of make it a little bit better and make it a little bit more sturdy. Let's take a look at what is involved here. These are just some plastic storage cases. I'm going to take the bungee cords off. We'll see how well I can do with just one hand while I'm filming. And while I'm doing this, let's just also take a moment of silence and in memory of Anthony from the Sustainable Center's Empire Army, which unfortunately has a temporary demise after his storage case was unfortunately dropped, but it was sacrificed to save his young child. Obviously, Anthony, thumbs up. You made the right decision. Sacrifice your models. Don't drop a kid. Anyway, so here, let's take a look at this a little bit further. So after taking off the bungee cords, which by the way are really good for as an added layer of defense, so that if you are carrying this, the method that keeps these things bonded together, it doesn't actually it doesn't loosen it up or make it weaker, but it also provides a nice carry handle. So let's see how I made this. I've got 3 different containers. They're all pretty high up. You're not going to hold the tallest of models like a Mortis engine, for instance, or a Dragon. For those types of things, I think you need to probably turn them off on their side, or maybe you can put some foam between them. What I've been doing is I've been modding stuff, converting it with magnetization such that I can break them down. Like, for instance, the Mortis engine. I'll break it down and I'll have 2 different pieces that I can easily put together just with magnets and connect it to metal trays. But in this case, what I did was, and again, you've seen other people do this. I have an easily removable top. In here is a plastic base. This is plastic sheet, and I've glued a adhesive magnetic sheet onto that. That actually has been hot glued to the bottom of this. And the reason why I did that is because I want to make sure that doesn't come up. Now, that's not necessary. One of these actually is loose. I think it's the bottom one, so that this actually can come up, but it never does, especially once the minis are on there. Now, the trick is, and you can find some of these that already have the hooks, where the bottom hook hooks to the lower part with little pieces that come off, but they're really loose. They're not extremely sturdy, and frankly, I don't like them too much, because if those come loose, the whole thing's going to collapse. You'll be holding it up here, and then the bottom one will come right out. So that's also why I have the bungee cords, to try and help make sure that doesn't happen. But I wanted a sturdier situation than I saw with a larger bin such that I could actually connect this lower portion to the upper. And the way it works is I bolted it several times, used washers on the top ones, which is really important, and that helped connect this piece to this. So now I have a bottom tray connected to the lid from the one that goes on the one beneath it. And then I did it again, and then I did it, well, not again. This is the bottom part. This is the lower portion of the actual full tray. What I can do, though, is, so I always have one tray, that's the top, that is not bolted to anything. And the bottom one has nothing that it's bolted to. That way I always have a bottom. And what I can do is, if I wanted to make this tower taller, I could just buy another one of these and stick it, connect it to a lid and stick it in the middle, and I have a fourth tier. What I also can do, while I snap this together, is, let's say I don't have a big army that I need to bring today to a match. I can disconnect a middle portion and just put the top one on, and boom, I have a much smaller tray option. So I think this has been working out really well. And just to make it simple, I'll just put this right on top here. What has really been great with this particular setup is that it fits absolutely perfectly right behind my seat in my car, right behind my seat and the seat behind that. So it is a fantastic solution, and I'm thrilled about all the work I put into it, but it was too small. So let's take a look at the bigger one, the new one, the Mark II. Okay, here is the Mark II. It's considerably bigger than this one, and sturdier and wider. All right, and I have two that are mainly for troops and monstrous infantry, and I have two that are for cavalry and monsters and much larger creatures, and you can see some of the stuff actually in there. This one that I purchased, I got at Staples, and it stacks a whole lot better. It is tons stronger. It's wider, so I can fit a whole lot more. And there's a lot of work that I put into it. I did it in like one afternoon, but I like this one. Unfortunately, it is much heavier. So for this, I think that I'm going to get one of those kind of luggage hand trucks, and I'm going to just strap this with the bungee cord right to that and use that to trudge this around, which looks a little silly, I guess, but it's not the first time you'll see somebody. I see people with Battlefoam in these luggage type trays that they get from Battlefoam too, bringing in their 1520s. And if you don't know what a 1520 is, it's a huge, just a massive case of Battlefoam, and that can run you many, many hundreds of dollars. I spent on this one about maybe, I don't know, $60, not counting the nuts and bolts and whatever else. I didn't even glue this one. This one I did hot glue, so I got a hot glue gun. I maybe spent about $40 on this one at most, maybe about 50 for all the materials. I mean, the time that you put in, that's going to be worth something too, because it's going to be several hours that you're going to be drilling holes, maybe gluing and fastening, and that's the work. Labor is always an element. But let's take a look at why this one, in my opinion, is superior. So I will just take off the lid on the top one, and you can see the interior is magnetized. Why do I like this one more than the other? It's much more square. Okay, it's more rectangular. Okay, fine, but it's much more square, which means I can fit these pieces in right up to practically the wall. And the plastic base, the plastic bottom, is completely flat. There's no molds that are raised or curved. So I put in a adhesive sheet, right? I just cut it up and I got like a 12 by 24 inch sheet, and I just cut it up, and I think this was like 12 by 14, and I put it right on the bottom. And as you can see, I have these metal bases. They're the kinds you can get from Shogun Miniatures, which I think are fantastic. You get them in all different sizes. But what's great is that you can't, flock them really as easily as you can plastic bases. But the nice thing about this is you could put your magnetized figures onto these bases, and then put onto the trays, and then put the trays straight onto these magnetized sheets, and they stick very well. I mean, you can take a unit off by just kind of popping it off, but it's going to stick there. You can see that's there pretty sturdily, and then I could just pick that up and put it on the table, and then boom, that's I got to really push that to get it going anywhere. So if I want to do this, which would be a nightmare in some scenarios, it's going to stay. And you can see some of my crypt horrors I'm working on that I converted, that I'm very proud of. And okay, so this, obviously neither of these solutions are going to protect you from, a child picking this up and dropping it, or you picking it up and dropping it, or turning it completely upside down. You're still going to get some damage. But it's going to be hard to pick this thing up. It's going to be hard if you drop it for it to just completely get knocked over, unless it's in I mean, it's going to happen. If it happens, it's going to be, it could be catastrophic, certainly. But this is pretty heavy, and I don't see many situations where it could happen. I could put this on the truck, on the dolly, and I could pull a complete, spaz move and trip over or whatever, and the thing would fall down. But you know what? This is a pretty good solution. I'm going to take my chances. I'd rather do this than Battlefoam, especially if you're going to any kind of a tournament. So just to show you some of the other features, and you can see I'm lifting this with just one hand. It's a little heavy, but I can do it. And I put that down, and there's all of my infantry, my ghouls, my zombies, my unit fillers. I even have a whole bunch of characters that are half painted, half not. And then I go one tier lower, pick that up, put that to the side. And this is the tray that includes my broken down mortis engines. So you can see that I don't have the top on that. That's over there. The bottom of that is actually magnetized. I have one built Terrorgeist, one Terrorgeist that can be switched out to be a zombie dragon, but it's all magnetized, so I can put the wings on, take the wings off. I've got Arkin, which is also magnetized to switch out to be Neferata or Manfred. I can switch the heads out. But this is something that I can store in here pretty easily. It's well in the proper size. I mean, the gash is not going to fit in here. I'm going to have some kind of a side thing for the gash. I've got my still yet to be built, painted and completed black coach. Got some swarms that I never use. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I can fit in here, and I really haven't even maximized it. I've just simply put a bunch of trays and put it in the best way I think it could fit. And then this piece pops off, and this tray is all of my mounted troops. So I have my Nagash filler, which is going to be my Hydra Titan in Undead Legions because it's a giant statue. My Hex Wraiths. I've got the Corpse Cart. I have a variety of different. Let's see. I have my Spirit Hosts. I don't have yet a magnetizing on a lot of these pegs that I've been using as Fel Pegasi, but those are temporary anyway. Those are mostly for the Bretonnian army that I have as an alternate. Here are my work in progress skeleton and Knights of the Realm converted Black Knights with a number of characters, and another unit here that is heavily in progress, which is these are Knights of the Realm that I'm going to kind of either keep that way for my Brit army, or just break up and turn into Black Knights eventually. And then of course just waiting to have the horses dremelled out and put on these, and then of course the riders mashed up. So as you can see, just to cut to the chase, I've got a nice strong base here. I can tilt this pretty well. I mean, the only thing that's moving around are these things that are not magnetized, but they're just pretty securely stuck in there. This is this is pretty heavy, and when I put this on, again, pretty heavy. How did I secure it? I drilled certain holes throughout, depending on the nature of the overlap, which really worked out nicely. I didn't have to nothing was coming up from the bottom of the tray, which is important because that was what was happening on this one, which is why I put a whole platform in there. Plus, this one was molded where it was uneven, so on the outer edge it was recessed, which kind of sucked. This one was completely flat, and then it had a lot of this stuff on the outside, perfect for lining up. I may actually put another, if I really think I need it, another cord or another nut and bolt or two. So I put those around there, and obviously it's a little different. This one is connected to a larger, different mold on the cover for the infantry bases, so you can see they're lined up a little bit differently in terms of where there was enough room for the drilling, but that's pretty secure. I was thinking about maybe hot gluing them, but I figured why do it? It's just not necessary. It's really sturdy. If this doesn't hold, the whole process is going to crash down, and I don't think I've tested it out before I put the minis in there. It's pretty secure. And there's the top part. Clip it, clip it, clip it. That's already clipped to the top. Clip it, clip it, clip it. It's ready to go. All right, so I don't think it needs a handle because I think it's too heavy. I probably will bungee this again to a hand cart and cart it around. I could take only portions of it, so I can remove this one. I could only remove that if I don't need to. I have a game coming up where I'm just going to need the 2 infantry trays and the bottom big tray just with those models, and so I can break it down and I can add to it. So I can make it a bigger tower if I want to, just for storage purposes, and then pull out just the ones I need for the games that I need. So if I just put like these 3, I could carry those. I could just bungee them up and carry them. But if it's this or bigger, it's going to go on to a hand cart. This is some pretty good storage, and I think that it really will help if you're looking to, just kind of get your stuff, especially if you have a large army, to a tournament or a game night or a game day. But you don't want to spend a fortune on Battlefoam. And if you want the convenience of being able to take your armies out very quickly, very efficiently, and be able to get in and out of each of those games, this is the way to go. If you're getting on a plane, if you're shipping stuff, this is not the solution. You've seen probably Anthony's video on his method, Anthony from the Sustainable Center, and he is absolutely correct. This, you shake the stuff up enough, it's going to come apart. It's not meant for a formal travel. It's meant for getting in your car and going down the road, or traveling maybe a half an hour or an hour at most, and having your minis survive. So if you're going to a GT in your general area, this is what you want to do. If you are going on long distance, if you're going on any real storage, if you're going on an official transport like a plane, I would go for something a little bit more travel-worthy like Battlefoam. This is not it, because there's no foam involved. But for the purposes that this serves, it's extremely modular, it's extremely convenient, and it will make you much more happy in terms of bringing large models. Now, why did I go and supersize to this? Because this kind of worked out real well. All right, and I might even use this for my next army that I'm considering, which I've long had the bug for, which is probably going to be dwarves, even before Anthony jumped into it. But after playing him with it and seeing how cool they are, I mean, I played a couple people with dwarves, but I've really kind of had on my back burner the idea of whether or not I'd go in with another army. I think maybe I'll get a little more painting done before I do it, but I might use this for a backup army, or maybe to store the Bretonians because it's a small army. But lower model count may go here, or I may sell that if somebody's interested in this. It won't be too expensive. Just let me know. But this Undead Legions, I need more transport space. I need more model space, because I have many more models than I did before. I don't even have all the stuff in here already. You can see there was a lot of spaces waiting for new models. The reason why is you just need a lot more options for summoning. So this is the new setup, the Mark II. And I hope you enjoyed this. And if you like this video and any of the others that I put out, please please feel free to comment, put your, whatever thoughts you have on this, what your solutions are, what you've done, what you've made. And of course, subscribe. And I have more bat reps and more campaigns for End Times coming up. And thank you. Have a great day.